It's time to build a PC for back to school, but what are the best builds right now for $1,000, $1,300, and $1,800? Welcome back to PC Builder. I'm Jason. It's August 2026 best builds. We're going to go through the best PC builds for 1440p gaming and 4K gaming right now using all new parts. We're going to start off with a $1,000 gaming PC build that you can actually configure a little bit cheaper if you need to. We're then going to jump to a $1,300 1440p gaming destroyer. And yes, at the $1,800 build level, I'm going to give you two options, a RYZEN X3D option and an Intel Core Ultra option for workstation users. If you get value out of this video, please give it a like, of course, subscribe for more cool PC content. Let's jump into it. This video is sponsored by TP-Link and their Archer BE600 Wi-Fi 7 router. You can have the best gaming PC, but if your network bottlenecks your performance, what's the point? The Archer BE600 unleashes Wi-Fi 7 speeds of up to 9.7 gigabits per second. Need hardcore wired performance? It features a massive 10 gigabit port and four 2.5 gigabit ports. That means blazing fast file transfers and ultra low latency gaming. With 6 high-performance antennas, the BE600 covers 2,600 square feet and up to 120 devices, and it sets up in minutes using the Tether app. At under $250, Tom's Guide called it the budget Wi-Fi router to beat. Check the link in the description to upgrade your network with the Archer BE600 today. All right, let's jump into that $1,000 gaming PC build for 2026. This is a really good back to school build. Now what I've done here is I went ahead and put together kind of a base spec build, $915.92, and I'm going to basically give you $85 in the budget to increase the performance of one of the components that you like the most, or maybe you need the most, the SSD, possibly the CPU, possibly the GPU as well. But let's start off with that GPU because this is really what's going to make the entire build go. Now, in this one, I went with the RX 9060 XT 16 gigabyte. Jason, $469. They have all come up to about $470 right now, and that may just be the new price. Now, it's entirely possible in the next week or so, we'll see some of those discount codes kind of flitter back onto these GPUs. Maybe this will get back to $440, $430. But right now, this is your best bet for 1440p gaming. It's got 16 gigs of VRAM. It's got pretty good average performance at 1440p across all titles. And of course, if you turn it down to more basic settings, you're going to get a lot more frames than that. And the other thing I like about this is it uses the full PCIe connector, all 16 lanes. So our CPU that you'll see in just a moment is not going to overly bottleneck it. Now, a potential upgrade path here is the RX 9070 GRE with 12 gigs of VRAM. This had been selling for as little as $499. However, they all went to $549, except today, like literally moments before I started filming, I now see that, yeah, look at that, $529. There's one for $535. So those prices are kind of flittering back down to $499. I like that. Probably because this has 12 gigabytes of VRAM, and right now RAM is obviously driving the price for just about everything. So 12 gigs is less than 16, so obviously probably a little bit cheaper, and it's considerably faster, as we'll see in just a moment. If you need to spend even less money, you could go with something like the RX 9060 XT 8 gigabyte GPU. They are kind of further and farther between in the US. I don't love it at $370. But Jason, what are my NVIDIA options? Well, unfortunately, not really happening right now. The RTX 5060 Ti 8 gigabyte is all the way up to $430 right now. There is one model, but it's delivery in September for $399. So you're going to spend $430 for that. If you want an RTX 5060, and again, both these GPUs are somewhat problematic with the CPU that we're going to pick because they only use half of the 16 PCIe lanes. So they only use 8 out of the 16. That's going to bottleneck us a little bit on the CPU. We have the RTX 5060 around $350 to $400 out there, and it doesn't really get much better from there. So how much FPS can you expect for your $1,000 gaming PC build in 2026? Well, these are the Tech Power Up RX 9070 GRE review data, so relatively recent. 1440p, I think it's across 23 titles at higher ultra details. You can see the RX 9060 XT, no slouch, 68 average FPS, pretty good. It's about 70 average FPS. And again, that's at higher ultra details. You can always turn the details down to get a little bit more FPS. I typically recommend playing games at high, not ultra for that reason. In terms of the RTX 5060 Ti 8 gigabyte, it's basically the same performance, unless of course you run out of VRAM and then you're gonna have a serious problem. And then we've got things like the 9070 GRE. That's a significant jump up. Look at that. Only about $60 more than our 9060 XT, we suddenly jumped to 92 average FPS. Now, obviously, The faster our GPU gets, the more it's also potentially going to CPU bottleneck us, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But that's pretty much the limit of our $1,000 build because unfortunately the RTX 5070, right now they're going for almost $660. All right, let's jump through the rest of the platform. Honestly, the Ryzen 5 5500, insane value. And unfortunately, not much in terms of its competition that uses DDR4 RAM right now because all the other CPUs are exorbitantly expensive, or the Intel ones, unfortunately, not only they're expensive, but their motherboards are expensive as well. That's why we're gonna go with Ryzen 5500. It is PCIe Gen 3 only, which is fine, especially if we're gonna use a 9660 XT or the RX 9070. And right now with a $25 promo code, it's $74. Insane. Now it comes with a perfectly adequate Wraith Stealth cooler here. But right now, Newegg is offering a budget tower air cooler that is the Roswell CPU air cooler with a digital readout on top. Now it says $40 value. It's not really a $40 value. It's more like a $20, $23 value. That's what Thermalright sells their competing cooler for. But still, for free, I will absolutely take it on a $74 CPU. For the motherboard, you really just need to pick up a cheap B550 motherboard. I typically recommend motherboards that have a VRM heatsink, right, like just this. This is $75 for the MSI B550M Pro VDH Wi-Fi, but really any budget B550 motherboard is absolutely fine for this. Now, Newegg has a number of RAM combo deals right now with the 5500. However, I'm actually putting this together cheaper than some of their RAM combo deals. So Newegg, get on that, maybe cut some prices, but check those links for the DDR4 RAM combo deals down in the video description because there are often good ones, just not right now. For the RAM, we're gonna go with a 16GB kit. Now, DDR4, either 3200 CL16 or 3600 CL18, they are effectively the same speed, is perfectly adequate. Right now, you're like, Jason, $149. Remember that $40 promo code. You're looking to spend $110 to $120 here. Maybe you can find an RGB kit. Now, this is one where I did see a combo kit with RGB on it for only like $20 more than I'm spending. So maybe you do that if you want RGB on your RAM. This is a great kit. I'd go ahead and pick it up. For the drive, here's where I am cutting some corners because I really do believe the AI bubble is going to burst, but the first thing that's going to come down is not necessarily RAM. It's going to be SSD prices because RAM, they're making HBM RAM. They're going to have to change the manufacturing to more DDR5. Whereas right now they're making tons of NAND, that is the storage chips, and those will go directly into consumer chips. And right now, I would say spend as little as you need to just to get by, just to survive. That is why I'm going with a 512GB NVMe SSD. Jason, that's not enough for me. Then for about $50 more, you can, of course, increase this to a full 1TB drive instead. I'll leave that link down in the video description as well as this one. But honestly, it's a great budget drive. I wouldn't really do much more than this right now until prices come down next year. For the PC case, the Phanteks XT M3, I feel like a broken record with this one. It's $50 after the $10 rebate. We included ARGB fans. It's nice and compact. It'll fit in the car, going to college, or going into your friend's house. Super easy. I absolutely love this case. I can't wait to do our next live stream build. By the way, become a member to see our live streams. We're going to do our next live stream build in this case right here. Check it out. And finally, again, broken record with the Roswell VSB. Now, $59, $10 promo code. $49.99, $50 for a C-tier rated 650 watt PSU. It's semi-modular. It's really what else do you need to get this thing going? Because again, super power efficient with the Ryzen 5500, relatively power efficient with a 9660 or the 9070 GRE. So all told, for $915, you're gonna have some flexibility. Either you can increase the amount of SSD storage for about $50, you can jump up in GPU power for about $60 to the 9070 GRE instead. You could even potentially, for about $90 more, go with a Ryzen 5600X instead, and again, that would still fit under your $1,000 window and get a little bit more CPU performance as well. Let's jump into that $1,300 gaming PC build. Now, I'm gonna do exactly what I did with the previous build. I'm gonna give you a $1,250 base build here. You can actually just go ahead and build this if you want. I am taking advantage of one really good deal from Newegg right now. We'll talk about it in just a moment. And I'm gonna give you some options to upgrade different components to it, but I think you're gonna like this build quite a bit. Now, let's start off, of course, the GPU. We are going to go obviously with a heavier CPU platform than we did previously, but also kind of a bigger GPU as well. The base GPU I'm using for this is the RX 9070 GRE 12GB, $529 for the XFX Swift one. The Sapphire Pulse one right now is $5 more if you want to get the Pulse one instead. Pretty good GPU, 12 gigs of VRAM to it, and a pretty good performer as we'll see in just a moment. Nice little increase over the 9660 XT 16GB. Other AMD options include, of course, the RX 9070. Right now, $649 is about as cheap as I can find them. This Challenger model is that. XFX Swift model is about $10 more if you want to go that direction instead. We'll see the performance difference there. But if you're looking for an NVIDIA option on this, I don't honestly know what to tell you. Look at this. These are RTX 5060 Ti 16GB GPUs. They start at $600. It's going insane. In fact, I've said before, I thought this GPU was being phased out in favor of some future RTX 5060 12GB. Kind of looks like that's what's going on right now because there are very few models at anything approaching a sane price. What about the RTX 5070, Jason? 12 gigs of VRAM? That GPU must be safe. Well, other than this model right here, which is only available at Best Buy in the US at $629, let me show you something really kind of crazy. They're all $700, $700 or more. I went to, actually at Amazon, it's even worse. So if you don't pick up that PNY for $629, and I even checked Walmart on this, you're kind of out of luck because these things are insanely expensive. So how much FPS can you expect for your $1,250 or $1,300 gaming PC build in 2026? Well, here we go, right back to our Tech Power Up RX 9070 GRE review, so relatively recent data. You can see the 9070 GRE, it's about 35% faster than a 9660 XT 16GB. You come up to almost 100 average FPS, 92 average FPS across all titles at ultra details. That's a really good performance metric there. It's not really that far behind the RTX 5070. It's about 8 or 9% behind. Some other benchmarks I've seen put it even a little bit closer, depends on the game selection. Then the RX 9070 jumps up again about 20% to a little bit on about 110 average FPS there. Pretty good pickup for $649 if you want to jump up in price. For the rest of the platform, we have a couple of different options. Looking over at Newegg combo deals right now for DDR5 RAM. A lot of stuff on AM5 is definitely available for us. We've got some RYZEN 9600X combo deals. It's coming with a free 240mm all-in-one liquid cooler right now with like a 16GB kit of RAM and like an ASUS TUF mid-range motherboard for $509. You can pick up some different motherboard configurations here. And then, of course, they also have the 7700 X3D for $548 with a single stick of RAM. I'm not a huge fan of the single sticks, Newegg. I love if you got at least one out there that had 2 sticks, but these are 16GB sticks. So in the future, you could drop another stick in when memory prices come down and get 32 gigs of RAM. That being said, right now, I've actually put this together cheaper on a la carte parts. I went with the 7600X in this one. 9600X also equally good if you find like a good combo deal or something like that. The reason I'm going with this Newegg right now, at least at the time of filming, is selling this as a combo. First of all, it's $35 off, so it's $165. It is $154 over at Amazon, $10 cheaper, but at Newegg, you get an 850 watt C-tier rated PSU with it. Has some limitations with this PSU, just want to point that out. We'll talk more about that in the PSU section in just a moment, but perfectly adequate for the build that we're using right here. For the cooler, I went with the id Cooling SE214XT. This is V2. It's just a little sleeker design. The older one used to have the heat pipes at the top. This just kind of goes nice and really clean build. If you want those heat pipes, of course, Thermite Peerless Assassin 120. Still really, really good cooler. There's a ton of other good budget tower air coolers you can, of course, use. Cooler Master Hyper 212 Pro is another one that comes to mind off the top of my head. Really, you have no kind of limitation for that. If you do want to spend a little bit more, 240mm all-in-one liquid coolers right now are only about $40. For the motherboard, we've got tons of options. I just want cheap though. Now, you can go even a little bit cheaper than this, but the ASRock B850 M-X Wi-Fi is on sale. Usually $130 for this motherboard. Right now, $107. Again, for a nice Wi-Fi motherboard. It's a pretty decent board. We've used it in a couple of different builds. We used it in our Ryzen 5 AM5 guide this year, and I liked it quite a bit. I especially like the way it looks with the 2 sticks. Instead of having 4 DIMMs, it's got 2 DIMMs. Actually makes it easier to clock the memory up on that. Pretty good, nice black styling. Again, $107 with Wi-Fi. What else do you need? For the RAM, I just grabbed the cheapest RGB DDR5 16GB kit I could find. This is 6000 CL36 or 38 stuff. Perfectly adequate for the CPU. Right now, $259 with the $40 promo code basically makes it $219, but feel free to grab the kit that you want. For the drive, I went with the ADATA Legend. Now, this is not a super high performance drive. This is a PCIe Gen 3 super budget drive, but honestly, for most tasks, for most people out there, you will never know the difference between this and even something like a PCIe Gen 5 drive. And certainly for gaming, as we go through in our best SSD for Gaming 2026 video, there is no gaming benefit for going anything faster. So yes, you could spend another $30, $50 on a drive. I would simply pick something up like this, especially given how constrained SSD prices are right now. It is nice to see 1 terabyte drives, however, drop down to $135 from about $160. For the PC case, I'm going with the Lee V100 Mini. This is my super favorite case of 2026. The ATX size case is only $10 more if you want to go with an ATX size motherboard instead. I went with this one because, again, I love it. A micro ATX motherboard and a micro ATX size case. This has 4 included ARGB fans. The 3 on the side are reverse blades, so they're actually intake fans, exhaust on the rear. This is going to look super nice with a budget tower air cooler, or if you want, you can even top mount a 360 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler on the top of it. For $65 with the RGB light bar, it's just insane value. Now for the PSU, we're getting this one for free. Just wanted to quickly go through it. It's the ASRock Pro Series. If you don't want to get this, you can certainly get the ASRock VSB 750 watt PSU, perfectly adequate for it. It's only about $15 more, but of course we're getting this one for free. So free is nice. The only limitation is this only has one EPS CPU cable to it. That means that's at the top of your motherboard, the 4 pins. It only has one of those. Now, most motherboards you can get away with only using one of them. However, if your motherboard has more than one EPS power plug, I recommend getting a PSU that can populate all of them just in case. So this only has one. Otherwise, it's got 2 PCIe 6 plus 2 pins. It's got a 12 volt high power cable to it. Overall, it's a pretty good PSU. All told for about $1,240 as currently configured. If you need to go out and buy a PSU or get a different combo deal, or you want to upgrade your GPU for about $100 more, you could do this build for just under $1,350. Obviously, upgrades to the cooler and other things are also possibilities. All right, let's jump into that $1,750 to $1,800 gaming PC build for 2026. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to give you 2 different options here because I know some of you are going to want to do workstation tasks and game, kind of a hybrid system. Some of you mostly just want to game and then be able to do some other kind of compute tasks as well. So I'm going to give you both a RYZEN X3D gaming PC build right here for about $1,800, which is probably going to be slightly better in terms of gaming performance. And then I'm also going to give you this Intel Core Ultra 5 250K Plus workstation and pretty good at gaming as well. Obviously, no future upgrade plan, but it's also $60 cheaper than the Ryzen 7600 X3D one. But of course, let's jump into what else, the GPU. I feel like our real option here is the 9070 XT 16 gigabyte. Unfortunately, these have come up. They were $699 a little bit earlier in the month. $719 right now is the cheapest I can find. That's the XFX Swift one. There are some other models like the Gigabyte Gaming OC for $729. They're all hanging around that price point between $720 and $750 right now. It's possible we'll see prices come down, especially as we get towards maybe some bigger back to school sales or Labor Day sales in the fall. But right now, if you got to put something together, I wouldn't necessarily wait because we are expecting these prices to go up. Your NVIDIA options here are a little rough. You could either pony up an extra $200 and something, $280 and go with an RTX 5070 Ti. Just feels absolutely insane, as we'll see in the performance in just a moment. This is one possibility, especially if you maybe use NVIDIA or CUDA for a particular workflow, and that's what we'll take a look at for the Intel gaming PC build and the workstation PC build. You could also look at the RTX 5070 if you're able to pick this one up for $629. Well, good for you. I have a feeling it's going to completely sell out. Otherwise, you are going to be stuck probably north of $700 here for an RTX 5070. Going back to our Tech Power Up benchmarks here, you can see the 9070 GRE that we used in a previous build down at the bottom there, 92 average FPS. This is 1440p across, I believe it's like 23 games at high or ultra details. Check it out, the 9070 XT, look at that, 120-ish average FPS at 1440p. Again, that's ultra details, turn it down to high for more FPS. And obviously for your competitive titles, you're going to turn that down to like balanced settings, get tons and tons more FPS. The 5070 Ti, at least in the suite of games that they use, slightly outperforms it. I know in some other benchmark suites, you see the 9070 XT pull ahead of the 5070 Ti, but is it worth an extra $280 or some gosh awful number like that? Probably not. Of course, we also have the RTX 5070 in there for about the same price as the 9070 XT, 100 average FPS versus 120. I'd probably take the 20% FPS. Let's jump into your platform options. What is this? Intel on the high end? What is going on here? That's right. I'm going to give you 2 options. Let's start with the Intel option first. We haven't done this for a while. The Core Ultra 5 250K Plus, this is the KF one right now with a $5 off promo, to $195. We'll go over the benchmarks in just a moment. Don't be tempted, by the way, by the 265K or 245K. Those are crap CPUs. Right now over at Newegg, coming with a 240 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler right here. Perfectly adequate to cool. It's not really a $79 value. Let's call it 40 bucks. You can always use a dual tower air cooler for about $40 as well if you're not able to pick up this deal. We're going to pair that with a pretty good B860 motherboard for $139. It's got a ton of M.2s on it. It's got upgraded audio on it. It's got a pretty good rear panel in terms of the USB connectivity to it. It's got Wi-Fi for $140. It's really, really nice motherboard overall. So for the total package here, you're putting this together, what is that? $200 plus $139, $340. Now we'll talk about the RAM in just a moment, but you're going to use the same DDR5 RAM no matter what platform you use. Our AMD platform, I would honestly go with the Ryzen 7600 X3D or 7500 X3D, depending on what's available in your market. They perform very similarly. $236 right now over in the US, and I would pair that with a budget tower air cooler, $25. I just decided to go with this one, the Thermalright Assassin X. We used this in our 7600 X3D build guide. It's got a cool digital readout on top of it. Overall, I just like the cooler quite a bit. You can go with something a little bit cheaper if you want, or you could even go with a liquid cooler as well. And then for the motherboard, I went with a really nice one, the MSI B850 Gaming Plus Wi-Fi. Not as nice as that ASRock motherboard for the Intel motherboard, but still has a lot of good rear panel USB connectivity, has only basic audio to it, only a couple of M.2s, but overall still a decent board. Now, if we look at the comparison, the Intel Core Ultra 5 250K Plus, now obviously the 7600 X3D is not on this. It's not a CPU that often gets tested, but you can infer its performance from the 9600X basically. Look at that Cinebench multi-core score. The 250K Plus just dominates just about everything here. Dominates the 14600K, the 9800 X3D. If you're looking for any kind of multi-threaded performance or production work, it definitely has it in spades. How does it perform in terms of other benchmarks? Remember some of the other Intel Core Ultra CPUs like the 265K, 245K kind of fell flat on their face at launch time. Looks like Intel did a lot of work to fix this, especially in programs like Adobe Premiere Pro. 250K Plus basically tying the 265K despite having fewer cores. That's how much more performance it's getting. And then of course, in terms of gaming performance, the 250K Plus games like a slightly faster 9600X, more like kind of the 9600X, 5800 X3D gaming CPU. The 7600 X3D, not pictured here, is only a couple of frames below the 7800 X3D. So yes, the 7600 X3D does have the performance edge in terms of gaming with an RTX 5090. However, we're not using the 5090, so maybe that extra multi-core performance is what you're looking for. But final note here, if you're just trying to decide between the two, the 7600 X3D has future upgradability. If that's a big deal for you to drop in a future Zen 7, Zen 6 CPU in a couple of years' time, that might make the difference. All right, the rest of the builds basically play out identically here. For the SSD, not knowing how much space you're going to need for your various tasks, I just went with the ADATA Legend 710 for $135. My thought process is the same here. Don't overspend on this right now. SSD prices will come down in mid-2027, and that's when you're going to upgrade your SSD. And for right now, you're going to get by with a budget 1 terabyte drive. If you need a more production focused drive, however, you're going to have to spend quite a bit of money. For the PC case, I know I've recommended the Lianli V100 to death, so I decided let's go with the Fantex NV5S. Also a very, very good similar case. It's got the RGB light strips to it. In fact, it's got this nice RGB light strip on the front of it. It has the reverse blade intake fans on the side and one fan in the rear. Overall, pretty good on the terms of cable management. And right now, only $60 after rebate, which is crazy cheap. For the PSU, for the Intel version, you're going to need about 850 watts. For the Ryzen one, you can get away with 700 watts, so we'll go with a slightly cheaper one. For both of them, though, I'm going to go with an A-tier rated unit, and that's the ASRock Steel Legend. Pick up the 850 watt unit, pretty good in terms of overall cables, fully modular to it, $80, or the 750 watt unit, it's about $10 cheaper. So overall, either for $1,800 right here for the Ryzen 7600 X3D one, which is going to maximize your overall gaming performance and not be a slouch when it comes to things like video editing or other kinds of production tasks that you want to do, really, really good. Or if you want to kind of go all in on those core heavy workloads, the Intel Core Ultra 5 right now, actually even $60 cheaper, especially with that combo deal. All these builds are linked down in the video description. Check those out for current pricing and availability in your region. We also have links down to like the Newegg combo deals, all of our how to build a PC guides, and other things as well. Also, let me know, what do you think of the builds overall? Drop a comment down there. Would you use the same CPU, GPU combos that I'm using right now? If you got value, give it a like, and we'll catch you on the next one.